Welcome, wherever you may be. Today we're going to talk about real estate in your IRA in uncertain times. So I'm not sure where to start, the real estate, the IRA, or the uncertain times. Well, I'm not sure this is being recorded or being streamed in a time shortly after the election. The pandemic is still here. Maybe by the time you hear this, they'll have solved the whole pandemic situation. But we do live in uncertain times, and even in certain times, they're certainly not always so certain. And one of the reasons that we're here, and one of the reasons that this product is here, and the thing that has made it so popular, and only growing in popularity over the time, is that uncertainty is unpredictable. And so what we're offering here is something that a lot of people have not heard of. The ability to take your IRA retirement money out of the stock market. Not completely necessarily, you can do part or all, and into something more tangible like real estate. People don't even know that that's a possibility. They think of IRAs only as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Well, we're here to tell you otherwise. And we, Broad Financial, we've been doing this since 2009 and offering what's called the Self-Directed IRA. We'll get more into that. But the Self-Directed IRA in our industry means the ability to go beyond stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and put into not just a real estate fund, but an actual piece of real estate that you can go on site and manage and collect rent and make a profit through your real estate savvy. So this is a tremendous opportunity for people that already are making money in real estate. These are really our best clients. They come here knowing how to make money in real estate, and they said they just didn't know that they can now use and tap IRA money, which could be hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, or whatever it may be, to invest in real estate. So today's lecture then, we got now the basic outline. Real estate in your IRA, that's with retirement funds. And we'll talk about, you can have a Roth IRA of tax-free money or a traditional IRA of tax-deferred money, and in uncertain times, because in real estate, of course, real estate can fluctuate and go up and down and collapse as well. But one of the differences between a piece of real estate and a piece of stock that says you're invested in real estate is that if the stock goes belly up, you're left with a worthless piece of paper. If real estate goes belly up, you know, it's a piece of physical land that you'll probably make back in the long run. I can tell you a couple of stories. My wife had inherited a small inheritance about a few years ago, and it was invested in a Canadian utility company. And my mother-in-law said, it's a wonderful company, one of the best companies in Canada, and I would not sell it. I wanted to sell it and take the cash. My wife did too, but we decided to hold on to it. Shortly after we got the inheritance, it went belly up. This wonderful utility in Canada was gone, and we were left with a piece of paper. And on the other hand, I had a good friend of mine who invested in some real estate, and shortly after he got it, the market in that area completely collapsed. And he was stuck with it, I think, for over 10 years. Over 10 years, and he was losing money for 10 years. Then all of a sudden, that area became hot, and now, 10, 12 years later, his investor was making a profit, and a really nice profit. So real estate, as opposed to real estate stock, is a piece of tangible, physical land with property that has the potential, even if not currently, to eventually make. And that you need a self-directed IRA to do. You need something physical. You need a different type of IRA, and that's what we're offering, and that's what a self-directed IRA does. And that is what Broad Financial specializes in. We'll talk more about the company later on, but we've been doing this for well over 10 years and have a great track record. We'll get into some of that. So how do you know if this is for you? So we got all types of people calling us. Again, I've been doing, I'll also talk about me. I've been doing this since 2013 and have emailed or spoken to more than 20,000 people. And people come to us for all different reasons. You're worried about the stock market. That is probably the most current, the most common. Even in good times, people are worried that maybe, it's not going to always be so good. But certainly in uncertain times, that's when all of a sudden our phones start ringing off the hook. And they have been ringing off the hook lately for the past 2 months, actually. So that's one reason why people might look into these plans. If you didn't know, you could diversify from a purely stock-based portfolio to a portfolio including alternative investments. So diversification, that's the second reason. You don't have to give up on the market to get altogether. Most of our clients don't. They retain or have some money in their stocks, in their mutual funds. But now they realize that they can actually move over into something tangible, an alternative asset like real estate, and this gives them a greater diversification it totally blows away the idea of diversification that you'll talk to a stockbroker. They'll tell you do some tech funds, do some foreign funds, do this, do that. That's the diversify, which you can still do, but also diversifying to actual physical piece of land, that's something that you can't do on a Wall Street product. You need our product to do that. So that's another reason why people come to us. There are places there are people that might be here because they're already with a custodian. They're in with some sort of self-directed IRA company, but they're paying such exorbitant IRA killing asset-based fees. An asset-based fee is a fee based on the percentage of your investment, how much you start with, how much you gain, and the more you make, the more some of these companies charge you. And we've got a lot of people coming over to us that they started with X amount of dollars per year, and now they're going to 500, 1,000, even more, $2,000 per year because they're making more, which is great. And the custodian assumes that they're going to be okay with larger fees, but then they discover that our fees are flat, and it doesn't matter how much you're making. So that's another reason why people are exploring Broad Financial. And the fourth reason, most common reason, is you want to take investing, your control of your investing in real time with an IRA. Again, there are people coming here from other IRA custodians and companies, and when your money is held by a custodian, a third party, you're dependent upon them to get the money at their portal or their people to send out checks. What we're going to talk about today is what's called a checkbook IRA, which means that the money is going to be in your hands at a bank of your choice after the setup process, and you're going to have real-time 24/7 access to it. If there's a repair on the week, if there's something furnace breaks on the weekend and your IRA property needs a repair, you can take out your checkbook and give the money on the spot. So these are some of the things that are really attractive. Now, that people either don't know about our plan, they want to diversify, they want to gain wealth, and then there are people that already know about self-directed IRAs, but they're at a custodian, and at the custodian they're paying these asset-based fees, and they're not having control of their investment processes. In addition, I might mention that especially when you're at a custodian, you're at the mercy of their staff and their customer support, and not all custodians have great support, to put it mildly. Some do, and many don't. And a lot of times people are coming to us because they've had a very bad experience with the support there. We'll talk about Broad Financial's record and how we respond to it. But I always encourage people to look us up because we do have a stellar track record for customer support. That's another reason why people all of a sudden, even if they're in a self-directed IRA, come to us to look for something more. So who am I? So I should have mentioned my name. I am Jeff. I am the Jeff here at Broad Financial, Jeff Astor. And as you see, there's a book there. And if you want to see it in real life, here's Jeff's book. No, that's, as you can tell, it's not me on the cover there, but I did write the book. The truth is, I wrote this book one Sunday afternoon in 2017. We're talking about doing a newer version of the book. There's not a lot of changes, but it's basically all true. But still, in 2017, one Sunday afternoon, I took 6 hours and I wrote the basics of this book. And the reason it took me only 6 hours is that I was basically putting down into words what I had been doing, 5 days a week, dozens of times a day, talking to people and just trying to be natural about it. That's what the book is. The book is really either, if you haven't read it, met me yet, or talk to us, it's a good primer about what these are about. And even after you've had the conversation here, this book brings things together. And it's a fast and quick read, and it's been a very helpful tool for me explaining what Broad Financial is, what we do here, and the potential of these plans. So this is something that we always encourage people to get in touch with us, but there are a lot of other tools that you can do to learn about the plan. This webinar is one of them, the book is another, and feel free to call us. You see my contact information down there at the bottom. I'm always available by phone or email. Well, when I'm available, but at least you can reach out to me and I'll get back to you if I'm not immediately available. So what is a self-directed IRA? So I mentioned it briefly, but you'll hear the word self-directed in the Wall Street world, and what they mean is to be able to invest in, instead of just a limited number of maybe mutual funds, you can invest in a bunch of different ETFs and stocks and all that, and that's fine. But we mean a much broader definition of self-directed. For us, to self-direct, it means to take it off Wall Street into things like real estate, and to do it in a way that is, in your control with a checkbook plan, as we'll discuss. So our definition of self-directed IRA, you may have heard self-directed IRA, but it's very different what we mean in this industry. It means a much more flexibility, access, and potential. You can invest in, well, we're going to get to what you can invest in. And here we are. What can you invest in? So the IRS says you can invest in everything but collectibles and life insurance. Collectibles are things like antiques, precious metals before 1933, Model Ts, baseball cards that the guy wanted to know about that would be off limits. And life insurance is also something that there's a certain type of life insurance that you can't do, but everything else is a possibility. That means things that are common, like real estate. Cryptocurrencies has moved up high in the rankings now, and it's challenging real estate for the #1 asset class that people are calling us about. And you've got startup companies, you've got different types of precious metals. There's a whole group, I have a chapter in my book here called exotics. So I always like to tell the story of the guy that's investing in Arabian racehorses. Another guy's investing in a zoo. Didn't know you can invest in a zoo. In a treasure island, we have another person doing it. I talked to the guy that was investing in an LLC that tracks the social media rankings of 360 supermodels. I don't know how it makes money, but this guy wanted to get in on that LLC, and it's not a collectible, it's not life insurance, it's doable. But today we're going to talk exclusively about real estate. By the way, if you want to go into learn about cryptocurrencies, we have a separate webinar on cryptocurrencies. It's called Crypto in COVID Times. Very relevant. Also something, and then it's the same idea. People are feeling the market or the economy is really wobbly, and they want something that is making money or that has potential to have more stability and more diversification, and that's what a self-directed IRA is. So today we're talking about real estate exclusively, but there is the potential for cryptos and all these other things, and feel free to call us, and you can do all these things at one time. Our one self-directed IRA allows you to do all these things, everything but collectibles and life insurance. You can do a little bit of crypto, a little bit of real estate, or a lot of both, or you can start in one and do the other. Completely an open possibility with our plan. Now, and the fact is, though, that over the 10 years we've been in business, and almost not the 9+ years that I've been here, or the 8+ years I've been here, real estate has always been #1. Cryptocurrencies happens to be really coming up the ranks and challenging real estate, but traditionally people are calling us up to invest in real estate. Sometimes these people are mom and pops sort of situation, just wanting to get into local real estate. Sometimes they're very accomplished and professional realtors that just didn't know that they can use their IRA money, or they have investors that want to let them know that they can now access IRA money to invest with their real estate development fund or whatever. So there are lots of ways to do it. We're going to talk about some of those ways in a moment, but the idea is that real estate really is something that's traditionally a fine way to diversify and to build wealth. In addition to stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, it gives you a really great angle on things, going forward, whether it's, again, to stabilize and diversify or to grow wealth. Now, what type of real estate can I invest in? Well, you got a little goose over there in the pool, but all types of real estate. We're going to go quickly through these next few. Houses, residential houses, condos, very common types of things. 1 bedroom, 10 bedroom, whatever it is, you can invest in different houses. Condos, different types of condos all over the world, 2-unit, 4-unit, whatever it is, also a very common type of investment. Foreclosures, there are a lot of people doing foreclosures, and we'll talk more about that. In the foreclosure situation, where you have a lot of repairs, you would use the IRA to buy the property and the house, and then for any repairs, you'd have to have the money in the IRA to pay for it as well. But then you can sell it and make a nice profit in foreclosures. Office buildings, we have people investing single in a one person or in a group. They're coming in there investing in different types of office buildings. Certainly perfectly permissible. Then we have raw land. A nice investment, doesn't require a lot of checks, a lot of stuff like that. But in reality, I had a guy turned I think this is pretty remarkable. He had started with a $4,000 investment in a piece of raw land, and it took years, but many years later, he sold it for $170,000. Very nice investment. Didn't have to do a lot. Timberland. This is when I was first here. My first year, I learned that people buy land, and the trees grow, and they knock down the timber, and they sell the timber. Perfectly fine way to use your IRA with real estate. Let's talk about the different ways that people have used our plans. And I have one of my favorite chapters here in the book, chapter 6, I believe, is the one that gives a lot of different types of success stories. Let's talk about two stories here that that are common and that I've in clients, speaking to clients. The first one is the couple that comes to me and says, listen, Jeff, we're in our 50s, we're not ready to retire, but we have a nice little amount of money in IRA. We saw this beautiful beachfront property that we want to buy. And we're not ready to live in it, but we do want to we're thinking we might want to live in it down the line. It would be a wonderful place to retire to, or a lakefront property. Classic example here. And they ask, well, can I live in it? So the answer is no. You cannot. One of the things you cannot do in an IRA, you can't use your IRA to buy a property and make personal use of it, which means living in it. You can't buy a property that you already own with an IRA, but you cannot live in it, make personal use of it. However, you could buy the property with your IRA. This couple, I said you can make a lot of profit, from rents over the years. And then 5-10 years down the line, you can take the value of the property as a distribution. You tell the IRS, you're now taking out the taxes due that have been deferred on this value of the property. And just like as you can do that with cash, that's called a distribution, you can take a cash distribution, you can take a distribution on the value of the property and live off it. And then once the entire property is distributed, now you can live in it. There's a strategy about doing it in piecemeal. You can do it maybe a little bit, 5-10% over 10 years, but when it's fully distributed, you can actually live in it. So this couple was thrilled to find out, and they talked to them about 5 years ago. I'm wondering if now, I haven't heard from them. I wonder if they actually have sold and moved in there, but that's one of the potentials, and it's a fairly common question that we get from people in these things. They're gonna make profit from the rent over years, and then they're gonna live in it at the end if they want to and take a distribution. You don't have to, but that's one of the common thoughts. The other success story, again, remember in my first year here, I spoke to a fairly young lady. I think she was in her 30s, and she already had a couple of houses in a college town. And she was explaining to me what a great investment it is, because the parents are basically paying for the kids, and it's basically a surefire type of rental situation. And so she had a couple of houses, and now another house opened up. And she didn't have the cash on hand to do it, but she did have some money saved up in her 401k or IRA, whatever she had. And by the way, you can use this for 401k, IRA money. And she was thrilled to find out that, in fact, that she could use our plan to buy that condo and now make the profit, that college house, and now make the profit through the rents that were coming in there. And that was something that she was just through the roof. And she wrote a nice review for us, and really made me feel happy that we could help her with that type of situation. There are so many stories like this, but these are just a couple I wanted to give you a feeling about what it is that these plans can do. So that's the gist of the overview, the big picture of how they work. A lot of times people have, common questions. So you may be thinking, what certain questions here? What does the IRS view? How does the IRS view checkbook plans? A checkbook plan, we're going to learn a little bit ahead, means the ability to take your money out of the custodian's hands into your own hands at a bank of your choice, and you then use a checkbook, or of course, that's just the term. You could actually wire funds, use a debit card, not a credit card, but a debit card, yes, to buy property and pay the bills. And what does the IRS think about these things? So there was a landmark case. There was actually a case that the IRS was sued, called Swanson versus Commissioner, and it eventually went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled against the IRS and said that Mr. Swanson and all individuals can self-direct, which is basically why we're here today. And the IRS even said that you can self-direct retroactively to 1974. And what a checkbook plan was, it's been around even before this Swanson versus Commissioner, but some smart attorneys got together and they decided to put together an LLC it's not a regular LLC. We also have something called an IRA trust, but the original was an IRA LLC, an LLC that can hold IRA funds. People ask me, can they use their existing LLC? No, it's got to be a specialized LLC. But with the specialized LLC that has a certain language and structure to it, you now can have the custodian, which is always required in an IRA, take your money, move it out from the custodian, and then into the LLC, take the LLC to a bank. All banks do LLCs. The bank has nothing to do with the IRA part. Don't have to know anything about it. But the custodian is doing all the IRA stuff behind the scenes, and you just open up a bank account, and it's the most natural thing for people that are in real estate to be able to use a bank account to buy the property, to pay the bills, to deposit rent checks. And that's what a checkbook plan is, and it's been long vetted and tried and true. We've been doing this, as I said, since 2009, 20,000 plus clients. We've never had anyone flagged just because they have a checkbook plan, and the few people that have been audited, because 3% of the population does get audited, the few clients of ours that have been audited, our checkbook plans have passed with flying colors. Our owners have done this. We vetted these things from the very beginning with the teams of ERISA. ERISA is retirement law attorneys, and these things have been around, and legally they passed the muster for a long time. So in short, what that means is this: even though you're taking money out of the custodian's hands into an LLC at a bank of your choice and you control of it, it is an IRS compliant plan. So what are the advantages of a checkbook plan? There are lots of them, but there are two big ones right off the bat. No asset-based fees. Again, an asset-based fee is a fee based on the percentage of money you're putting in, percentage of the money you're making, and those can be IRA killers. As the custodians that charge asset-based fees, they assume you're not going to be so upset when your fee goes up from 300 to 500 to 700. And they say you're making money, so why can't we take more money of yours? They're not doing anything more, but they're making more. So asset-based fees are IRA killers, and a lot of people just absorb them. Sometimes people realize they don't like it, and they call us up and they realize that our fees are flat. It's a big advantage. No transaction fees. Once a checkbook plan is set up, your money's at a bank of your choice inside this LLC. You're writing checks. You're not paying us a penny. Our fees are going to be flat just to create the vehicle to begin with, and flat ongoing to do some IRS reporting. It has nothing to do with the amount of money you have in there or the amount of checks you're writing and receiving. It's all, so no asset-based fees and no transaction fees are part of the real advantages of a checkbook plan. We also mentioned earlier about real-time investing. So if you have a repair over the weekend, what are you going to do if you're with a custodian? You have to wait till they open up, and they're not always instantly available. And sometimes you have to send a check in the mail. It takes a couple of days. With the checkbook plan, you literally have a checkbook in your hands. It says LLC. It says ABC LLC. You got to pay the plumber for the emergency repair over the weekend. The furnace man, you take out your checkbook and you pay him. So that's real-time investing, and that's only available with a checkbook plan. What's the process of setting up an IRA LLC? So we're going to learn here about a few basic steps here, and I'm going to go this quickly. You can call us up. We have a lot more information about it. But basically, there's 4 steps. Broad Financial creates an IRA LLC and sends it to you. You're going to name it. We ask you for 3 names. We advise not putting in words like like IRA or self-directed or Roth or retirement. The more it sounds like a regular business name, the better. But we'll create the LLC. You'll name it. We're going to get the documents and email them to you. You take that LLC to a bank of your choice. All banks open up LLCs basically, and you can easily open an account there. They have nothing again to do with the IRA. Then we're going to connect you with our A+ IRS approved custodian. Every IRA needs a custodian. In our case, the custodian is our sister company, Madison Trust. Madison Trust is in the same roof with us. They have the same ownership. That means communication is hand in glove, so we can always answer your questions. After the LLC is at the bank, Madison, meanwhile, is at least almost simultaneously at the beginning, is you're telling them where your money is, that you're authorizing them to get it, all of it, part of it, whatever you want. They get the money, and like a quarterback, they're only holding it for a short amount of time, and then they're handing it off to your LLC at the bank of your choice. So that's step 3. And now, after it's set up, after the LLC, money's in your LLC, your IRA LLC, now you're free to write. You can sit down at the closing, write out a check, and pay the seller from the LLC. The LLC now owns the property. You're the manager of the LLC, and your IRA owns the LLC, so it's all under the umbrella of an IRA, even though it's in that LLC, and you've just sat down at the closing and written this check from this LLC. And the same thing with all bills that go on. Just take out the checkbook. All rents, the renters make out the check to the LLC. Voila, it goes back in there. No matter how much profit you make, it still stays tax sheltered under an IRA or tax free if it is a Roth account. This is now, that was the circular version of how this works. This is the linear version. Some people are visual, some people are more linear. So you got the 2 ways, but the same idea. We create the LLC, we send it to the bank, we email you the information, you set it up at a bank, we connect you with a custodian, you buy the property, and voila, you've got your money in a bank and ready to invest. How long does it take? So typically it takes around 2 weeks. There's some X factors here, like who's holding your money. IRAs are faster than 401ks typically. But basically, the norm is in around 2 weeks, you're going to have your money in a bank of your choice ready to invest. If you want to give yourself a buffer, say 3 weeks, sometimes it does take a little longer. Sometimes we can do it in a week, but that's an option here. And then it'll work just like a regular bank account, but it's all under the umbrella of this IRA. So, in 2 weeks, you're ready to rock and roll, basically. I promised in the beginning we'd talk about Broad Financial. We consider ourselves the industry leader. We've been in this industry, in the checkbook plan industry, for 10 plus years. That number's a little bit old now. Between Broad Financial has a good 15,000 plus clients, and then Madison Trust also has that clients, thousands of clients. So we're pushing higher that number, probably over 20,000 by now. Customer support, very underrated function and activity. We get a lot of people moving over. One of the chapters in my book is about nightmarish customer experiences. We have a company called I write in the book called Company X, and we get calls from them all the time. We call them the refugees from Company X, because their customer support is so bad. You can look up Broad Financial and Madison Trust, A+ with the Better Business Bureau, Google, Yelp, all other tremendous rankings, and something no one else has, 1,000 plus testimonials when you add them all up, of people very basically satisfied customers over the years. So we do really try to be number one in the industry and number one in support, and we do have the track record to show it. I always advise people to look it up. Customer support really is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Hopefully you don't need it. Why would you need customer support? If you have a technical question, maybe you have a legal question, you're not sure how it works, you need customer support. And again, if you discover how much you need it if you're with a company that doesn't have it. But we do have a great track record, and we do have people that are very knowledgeable here to answer your phones and respond to your emails. And the custodian, Madison Trust, in the end, this is something unique. When we began in 2009, we were just a checkbook company, and we outsourced the custodial stuff to a third party, a different company, and they were fair in their reporting and their service, but they really weren't so great, and they had problems. But we created Madison Trust in 2014. Today, they have over $2 billion in assets under management. Again, great track record. In the checkbook plan, they're just a pass-through entity. Your money passes through them. We do have an option of a custodial plan. You can set up purely with a Madison Trust plan without the LLC. Those would be ideal for a one-time lump sum investment. You don't need checks. You're giving your money over to some real estate developer or some other situation, and you're out of the way. And because Madison has no LLC, it's a small setup, but there are transaction fees and there are other types of fees. So if you start being active, like if you have real estate and you're investing and paying bills, then you want the checkbook plan. That's what those things were created for. So feel free to give us a call, check us out. Phones are live even now as we speak. You can talk to different people. And it'll take a few minutes you'll tell us about your situation. You can go to our website, www.broadfinancial.com. We have on the website there, we have phone numbers, and you have a way to set up a calendar appointment with a specialist, and as well as a very informative website. People have told me how much they like it. There's videos, there's webinars. You can learn about real estate, cryptocurrencies, the legal basis of the plan, our history, ton of stuff there. So I want to thank you all for coming. Hopefully we'll be able to see you on the side, either on the phone, on a Zoom meeting, or some other way. And I look forward to talk to you again. This is Jeff with Broad Financial. And if you want to check out the book, it's called The Ultimate Self-Directed IRA. Me and William Shakespeare, we're very good at making up great language titles. And it's on. You can get a $2.99 download on Amazon, $4.97 for the audio. You got a soft cover for $9.99. Not a big book. You can read it in under 2 hours or an hour and a half. And I do recommend that. Short of calling us and talking to me and talking to us, it's the next best way to learning about these things and taking this to the next step. And I look forward to seeing you or hearing you the next time you stop.